Hi, it's Claire, your intuitive reader. Am I reading your story? Let's find out. It's great to see everyone. I have not been online, it's not in your imagination. I've been going through a huge amount of shifts. Um, I've been going through an awakening myself, and it's been coming in very quickly. I'm sure that a lot of you in the collective are feeling the same things. I'm sure you're getting stories like, oh my gosh, I just thought about that. Or maybe you're getting bugged by a lot of insects. I'm getting a lot of bees. So we're going to go over some of the signs and synchronicities and see if these mean something to you. Now, they don't necessarily have to be these specific things for this reading to be your reading. What you have to remember is that it's just like a heightened confirmation, like I might say something that really triggers your something within you, and then you'll definitely know this is for you. So I got a feather, and specifically a feather that has a hole in it. This I find interesting because I feel like you were flying really. Um, I've been getting a lot of birds. Like you've been flying very swiftly, like moving very quickly, but then there seemed to be a deviation in your flying ability, your moving forward ability. And I get that's because there's a small hole here. And the small hole here seems like it would be no big deal, right? Like it's just a teeny tiny little hole, but it impacts the entire thermodynamics of the feather of the flight. So you guys are, a lot of you are getting your wings. You might be getting some back pain. Um, you might be getting pains in your neck, and in your solar plexus energy, because it's a lot of strain on your sternum, getting this expansion, this wings. Um, Kind of like, when you go on an airplane, you get those little wings. It's kind of like that. This is a physical manifestation of it. You're not going to necessarily see wings, but you're going to feel these pains, this expansion, this growth. Um, and you're going to notice something is missing. It's kind of messing with the aerodynamics, the smooth sailing, the smooth soaring. And that's an indication to you that something damaged you, something came in. You might have not even noticed. It might have started very small, but it's worn away at you. So this is the guides, your guides are asking you to look within. Look within, really examine. You've probably told a story over and over and over again, but have you gone into it, examined it, journal? Journaling has been very important. I've been doing that a ton, so I'm not lecturing you guys. It's something that I struggle with, but I've recently found a whole bunch of journals from the past, and they indicate to me that I've been doing things in cycles. That's why journaling is so great, because you can see where you've grown, but also where you're returning to the same cycle. And you might be getting to the point where you're coming at this situation from so many different directions, but you're not honing in on it. What I get that it's really, I got time, and this is Miss Piggy actually, and the color lilac, time, having fun, looking at things in a more curious way, like looking at the puzzle pieces. I also got puzzle pieces. I lost these months ago. And not only puzzle pieces, but you might not be able to see them because you're expecting to find like a piece that looks like this, but it's actually kind of almost invisible to you. It's an ultraviolet light, so you may not be looking at it from the right perspective, or not right, but the perspective where you can clearly see it. Miss Piggy, I'm getting a lot of 1980s. I have a little Miss Piggy here, and she kept falling off my desk. She was the only one. I have the entire group. This is the baby Miss Piggy too, so there might be something about that, like, because I have another Miss Piggy over there, and I wasn't getting that as much. But also in this watch, which actually I have a small wrist, but it's a child's watch. But and this is also from a long time ago, probably 70s, 80s, early 80s. So there seems to be a lot of that return to that energy. So purple lilac can be considered your crown chakra. You know that this color, something within this can be activating your crown chakra. So thinking back to a time when you were a kid, there's something coming up about that. If you didn't grow up in the 80s, it doesn't have to be the 80s. That's what it's associating with me, and it might associate something with someone else. Like also Swatch watches. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of cool. Look it up. People used to wear all these really cool watches, Swatch watches, and they would wear lines of them if you had enough money. That is, they were expensive. Um, so let's see. I'm also getting spring, not just spring as in the season, but actually in a spring, and not just this part of the spring that goes boing boing, but like that it connects to things. That spring's actually, like when you're making the connection in a battery, it's holding the battery in the case, and there's that spring that connects it, the positive and the negative, and that brought up balanced. I kept getting that the energy needs to be balanced. This card came out. So if you've been asking a question, the answer is yes. But I want to read this to you. This is a bright period in your life filled with warmth and joy. Still, the choice between duty and emotions alter your plans by warping your view of the situation. This is the right moment for realizing your true self and overcoming all shortcomings. Achieve inner harmony or else. So again, I kept getting balance, keep getting things balanced. And once you get things balanced, that's really going to increase I get the balance between duty and wanting to have fun. Like you're probably feeling this feeling of like a lot of ideas, a lot of inventions, a lot of songs, stories, cooking. It doesn't really matter. It's just invention. You could be a mathematician, you could be a scientist, but you're like, whoa, your brain is expanding. Now you have to have fun with that. There needs to be that balance of fun. Like, Miss Piggy's a puppet. So they used puppets in the 1980s too, also for political satire. So instead of making like journaling about your experience that was painful to you and then making a fictional story about it will help you deal with it from a more fun. You could turn it into a graphic novel, you could turn it into a song, you could turn it into a story, you could turn it into since we're journaling, you could turn it into any medium, a painting, but turning it into something fun to deal with something that was impactful, that caused a hole in your feather. Even though it could feel small, you could be minimizing the impact it's having on you. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. So I'm going to go to part 2, and then we'll get more into the reading about this. I'm excited. I want to know more about your story, and I think you're doing great. It's amazing. I got so much pink today, love, hearts, getting back to that feeling of innocence and childlike wonder. The 1980s was a time of the Care Bears too. So this is very similar to, the bear. I'm getting this energy that return to playfulness, return to your innovation, your ideas will grow exponentially if you are coming from that mindset, that clearing of your crown chakra. So I'm just gonna play this real quick, and then I'll go to part 2. I love this sound. Oh, sorry, that was a little loud. And I feel like we just need to wake up. We got this. So I'll see you in part 2.